What's up guys, my name is Andy. Now that I got my car painted, I've got several projects that I need to get completed before I can get this car back on the road. And the first thing that I want to tackle is the wiring harness. I'm going to go with American Autowire. The biggest reason probably is because of the patching of wires. There's a lot of old wiring in this car that I'm relying on to do its job, and it has been working. I wasn't having electrical problems before I took the engine out and got the car painted. But it's something that I want to clean up the wiring that's here. There's a rat's nest of wiring underneath the dash. Over the years, different things that were added or subtracted or whatever. When I take the instrument cluster out, I tried to clean up the harness back there and kind of zip tie everything to a nice little simple system. But there's still a lot of wires that are kind of going over things and under things, and I want to get all that stuff kind of cleaned up. And the traditional wire tuck, right? That's something you see a lot of car shows where you don't really see any wiring in the engine bay. I don't want to go to that scale. I don't want to make it so there's no wires, but I do like to clean it up. I think it looks a lot better when you don't have wires strewn about the engine bay. And what I had before I took the engine out, right before I got this car painted, was a pretty good position of where I wanted to be, but I think I could do better. But without having to tear all the wiring out of the car, you're kind of limited with what you had. I did run some stuff in the fenders, up to the front of the car here instead of having it coming over the top and everything. But ultimately I like to get this thing cleaned up and have less wires shown and replace stuff. And also, with this setup here, it adds some circuits that I have created myself. I've got a bank of relays underneath the dash and a distributor block kind of a thing to put power to different places. And one of the nice things about this setup is that there's a couple of extra circuits in here that I can utilize for things like I have an electric choke right now on my carburetor. So I've got a separate setup for that. I've got relays for my electric fans, things like that it would be nice to have everything kind of wired up and cleaned up into one small area. And so I want to consolidate what I have and update everything with, traditional fuses. The fuses that were in this car, those round glass cylindrical fuses, they work, but I like this setup in here and this American Wire setup. So why did I go with American Autowire over something like Painless or a lot of other off-brands and stuff? From the research that I have done, I actually wanted to do this in my previous Mustang, but I never got around to it. And these things aren't cheap, but they're not expensive in the world of what we're spending on these cars. But it was just something you kind of put on your list, and it just keeps falling further and further down the list. And I got to a part where I want to do this wiring harness, so what am I going to do? I looked up, again, Painless and American Autowire, the two big ones right now for our cars, partly because everything is color-coded, even the wires are labeled. There really are good systems, and the other stuff on there that are half the price, they will work. It'll take a little more effort on the installer's part, whether it's you or somebody else, to kind of figure stuff out. I liked how everything comes with the correct connectors that match the car. I don't have to reinvent something. I don't have to salvage the connectors that are there and then splice stuff in. Everything I need is in this box. The instructions, we'll open this in a minute here, but the instructions that come with this is it's printed on 11 by 17 paper in color, and they could have done it on a couple of pieces of paper, black and white, and said, look online for the rest of the instructions, but they don't. They put everything, all the information you need is here in the box, and that's another reason why I went with these guys. A lot of compliments on this brand. A lot of people, did well with the Painless, and they said it was great, they didn't have any problems. I just was finding that it seemed like more people were happier with the American Autowire, and so that's another reason I went with them. Everybody says get the crimpers that they sell with this kit, or that you can buy separately, I guess, to go with the connectors that I have in here. I have several sets of crimpers. I even have a real nice set of MSD crimpers that you can change the jaws out for different crimping bits or whatever they're called, the dies or something like that. I almost just chased that route, but in the end I figured, I'll just get the tools, do it right the first time. I'll have these if I needed to use this kind of crimpers for anything else down the road. And absolute worst case, I could sell them. I won't get my money back, but I get a couple bucks back if I ever wanted to sell these, because I'm never going to use them. And then the next guy gets to save a couple bucks on his project. So I got these. That's another thing I wanted to do. And then I've got several spools of this wire loom. This is the kind that it's not the well, I don't have anything out here. Well, it's in my engine bay. The plastic corrugated kind of stiff one that it works, but it just looks cheap. This system is a much nicer, and it's a soft wrap around the wires versus not gonna chew up your fingers when you're trying to run the wires through. So I got a couple spools of this in different sizes, because some of the wire harness, the bundle up by the fuse block is gonna be bigger than, by the time you get out by the headlights or by the tail lights or something like that. So different sizes, couple different spools for that. So, and then really from here, the only reason why I got this is I just wanted something that was pain-free. And I know there's a brand called Painless, but this is a big task. This is a big project. A lot of the stuff that I've done on this car, you can finish in a couple hours or a long weekend. This is gonna take a little longer, and this is one of those things that I don't wanna rush, and I don't need the car out today on the road. This is I think a great winter project. Now, a lot of people in the southern part of the country, you don't get the winters like we get where I'm at, so you get to drive year round, and so to take the car out of commission for a week or two or whatever it takes you is a bigger impact. But for me, this is a great wintertime project. The problem is it took so long to get the car painted that now I'm into spring, and I would like to go out and drive. It is a beautiful day out there right now, but I want to get this done, and then there's a couple of things I need to get done too. So it's all right. It's part of the game, right? It's part of the project and why we do this stuff. So where do I go from here? Well, the first step is going to be to just take all of the wiring out. I do need to remove the carpet and the seats. I got new carpet. That's going to be another thing down the road. I got to get those seats out of there, start pulling the instrument cluster out of the dash, pull the heater box out. In fact, I think I'm gonna do an air conditioning system down the road where it's got the heater and everything all in one. And so I think I'm just gonna take my heater box out for now and not put it back in, but just have the wires for the controls and that kind of stuff just zip tied up and tucked up underneath the dash for now, so that they're there when I install the system. But I think for now, I'm not gonna run a heater. And then where I'm at, I don't run the car in the wintertime anyway, so I don't really need the heater. I guess it'd be more for the next guy if I ever sell this car, but that's something that I could deal with down the road. So anyways, I gotta take that stuff out, and then I gotta go through and take the miscellaneous wiring that's throughout the engine bay here. That's probably gonna be the bulk of the wiring, because out the back, there's just kind of one harness that runs along the driver door on the sill part, up over the wheel arches, and it breaks off and goes to the tail lights, and then there's the courtesy lamps or whatever they're called in the back. I think it actually wraps around the back of the car and comes back up to the light on the passenger side in the back there, or something like that. But that's a pretty easy wire harness. In fact, the nice thing about this American Autowire, it's just a harness that you plug in. I'll plug it under the dash. I just run that harness to the back, and then it's got a plug that I can plug in up front. I don't have to run wires all the way back. Well, that's a whole nother thing. We'll get into that. But so I got to take all this wiring out and disassemble all of the stuff that's going to be electrical underneath the dash, get that out of there, and get it set up. But where's the fun in that, and where's the interest in that? That's going to be a hard part about this video. Is nobody wants to watch me, bending over the car and pulling wires out and running wires out. So really, it's going to be, I think the bulk of this would be to point out the important stuff, or the pro tips or the highlights of this replacement that would be beneficial to you guys. I don't want this to be some hour-and-a-half long video of me just running wires, and I don't think that's going to be interesting for anybody. So I'm going to start taking it apart, and I'll have to find maybe, hey, this is the important part. I'll point this out. I'll turn the camera on for that. But the bulk of this work is laying out the harness, figuring out what you've got, getting things set up, and start running wires to the various parts that you needed to, and then cut the wires off and terminate them where they need to be, and then there's that part where I'm going to try to tuck the wires underneath stuff or behind things. Right now in our cars, we have 2 spots where wires come out, well, 3 really, but come out of the firewall and run to various parts. I actually would like to come out underneath the fenders on both sides, run along the fenders, and then go to the headlights, go wherever they need to go, to the horns or something like that, and minimize the wiring. So thinking that through, once you get everything put into the dash and you get the wires ready to come out to the front of the car, figuring out the path for them is going to be a little bit of time, and just making sure that everything goes to the right spot. So I'm going to have to dig into that. Let's take a look at what you get inside the American Autowire box before I start taking everything apart on the car. All right, so in this box, here's that, again, 11 by 17, full cover. This thing is fantastic. The way it breaks down everything's in large print, so I don't need my glasses to read it. And then it shows you where stuff goes and how to mount, like, for example, the big, huge fuse block part, the brains of this thing really is sitting underneath the dash where it goes. So this is pretty slick, and it also points out too, if you've got, for different years, there's a little bit different setup for a couple things like the wiper motor or the heater control, stuff like that. So it outlines, you know, again, this kit is for the 64 to 66 Mustang. So if you had different years, then obviously you'd buy that kit. But because between the 3 years of this particular body style, there's just enough little subtle differences that they highlight everything in here so that you don't get lost. This is pretty slick too. This is the back of the instrument cluster. So this is for the 65 and 66. This is for the 65 with the oil light, and yeah. So the 65 is a little bit different than 66, and then 64 and a half and 65. There's a little bit subtle differences between those two. So again, this is pretty slick that it goes through and just kind of covers all of the differences depending on which particular model that you have or the year that you have. Here we've got this part here is showing you where to drill a hole for mounting the big fuse block of this is all laid out here, and you can put this up to the car, and this is a 1-to-1 size of where that hole needs to be, and it measures it out and everything. It's pretty slick. This is for the relay bank that you're going to be installing underneath the dash. Again, the way that they do this kind of stuff is they just take their time and make sure that you have all the info that you need, which is one of the reasons why I like this kit. So then from here, everything is bagged up into groups. Like, for example, like I was talking about that wire harness that goes out the back from the dash along the driver door sill onto the back. That whole wire harness is one kit, and then you've got it broken up into the part. You got the heater controls, that kind of stuff. So, and they're all numbered and labeled, and it's all referenced in the instructions here about which kit you need. On top of that, the colors of the wires, the words are written on there. Well, you guys can't see it in the camera, but like this one says right here, this says headlight low beam, that particular wire right there. So if you're chasing this stuff down and you get to the end and you're about ready to plug wires in the car or something like that, do I have the right wire? And they're written right on the sheathing of the wire, which is, it's great that they took the time to do that. Let's see here, a couple more there. Headlight switch. Now in my car, I actually moved this to a different spot on my dash, so I don't need this foot pedal headlight switch, but they give you a brand new one to go with your setup here, which is great. And then this is the headlight switch, the one that goes in the dash for turning the headlights on and off. This is the high beam switch is what I meant to say. Headlight switch, new one there. Then you get a new ignition. Now you need to reuse the tumbler and your key from your car you've got, but this gives you a new one, and then the back of this, the plug will match the plug that's in here that goes to it. So you're set up there. Various relays and the hazard blinkers. Now I have LED tail lights in my car, so I'm gonna have to make sure I use the hazard relay piece that came with or that goes with my LEDs, but it'll still plug in. But I don't want to use the ones that came with this since I've got that special one that's designed for LED lights. Connectors, big power wire for, you know, when you set up the starter solenoid, there's actually a fuse block on here that you're going to want to use to go from your alternator to the fuse block and put all this in place between your battery and your starter solenoid. So again, it outlines it in the instructions, but they give you all the plenty of wire to do what you need to do, and then those big fuses that go with that. I did want to point out that this kit, and you'll see that in the instructions, you know, when you're picking this kit, you do need to have a one-wire alternator. This kit will not work with something that is externally regulated like the stock setup. And on these cars, they have that voltage regulator that's on the firewall right next to the radiator. When you put in a one-wire alternator, you don't use that. You can just leave it sitting there. You just unplug everything. It's not going to hurt anything. But this setup is expecting you to have a one-wire alternator. I have that, so I'm already set. In fact, that was one of the reasons why I put that one wire in, because I knew I was going to be doing this down the road. But you have to have that. This kit won't work with the regular alternator that came in these cars. What do we got here? This is instrument cluster harness. Again, everything labeled. This is great. This is fantastic. And then you got your main dash harness. This is that big fuse block I was telling you about that's got all the various fuses in there. The standard, what is it, H fuse or whatever it's called. It's not those cylindrical glass ones. I'm not gonna go ahead and open this up and lay it all out, but man, there's the relay block that's gonna go underneath the dash for what we need to put in. Man, this is fantastic. Everything is in here. And then that's the end of this box. So I think what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to pull everything out of the car, get all the wiring out, get it out of the way, and then I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna tackle laying all this stuff out. It's probably best to lay it out on the ground, isolate the circuits that I know that I'm for sure not going to need or not going to use, and then you can either cut those wires off or you can wrap them up to a smaller bundle and put them off to the side underneath the dash in case you may need it. That's going to be a big part of this task. But like I said, the first thing, I got to get the car gutted out before I can even worry about setting this stuff in, because I won't have a place for this stuff to go. So let me go ahead and get that going. All right, guys, this is just a kind of a mid part of the way update. Got the front wire harness mostly out. What I've got left over here is just some wires that I had run from things like my electric choke, electric fans and stuff like that I had set up. So most of the car's done on the front, and then I've got the rear all pulled out, all of the wiring here. This is wiring for some aftermarket lighting for the license plate, so I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with that. But this is all out. Again, like I said, it was just a single wire harness that just runs along the back here. And you are gonna have to fish it through here, so you might find that you have to cut off some of the terminals. So if you do that, just give yourself plenty of space in case you do find that you do have to reuse any terminals, the factory, plugs or anything for anything. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but if you do have to use them, just make sure you give yourself plenty of length so that you can reattach it if you need to, depending on what you've got going on with your car. And then in my car up here, this is kind of smashed down, so nothing really fit through there, but just the wire. So I had to cut some terminals off for that. And then up inside the dash here, you can see I've got a lot of it taken out. And then back there, you can see some wires and stuff. That's from that creative wiring I did to wire all that stuff underneath the hood that I have. So I still got to pull that stuff out and get like this fuse or this distribution block out of there and stuff, and get my relays out of there, get all that stuff pulled out. But just as kind of a midway update on where I'm at with this. And then I did pull the carpet out because I'm going to replace the carpet. And I thought I was getting ahead of myself. I thought I was doing a good thing by getting that out of the way. Actually, leave your carpet in. You don't really, you need to pull the door sills up to get the wiring out of here, but you don't really need to get the carpet up, except for, like, I had a wire for the reverse lights run through there. But it's great for laying on. There's a lot of sharp edges and stuff, and particularly, if you had anything that, from, welding repairs or whatever, I can see that these floor pans had been done at one time. So there's sharp edges on all kinds of stuff. So just laying on this makes it a lot easier when you climb underneath the dash. So either leave your carpet in or put part of it back in there. So cool. So that's just an update of kind of where I'm at. I've got a lot more to do, so I better get to it. All right, guys, I got the rest of it out of there. Just a heads up, there is a plug on the headlight switch that you can just unplug there, and there's a plug on the back of the wiper switch. It's easier just to unplug those to pull the whole wire harness out. I may have to replace this unit, but just to get everything out of the way, the heads up on that. And then for the ignition switch, there's a lead on the back, a screw in the back. There's a nut on there. If you take that nut off, then there's the plug that comes off the back. But I thought it was just easier just to take the ignition out. And I've got a video on how to do that on my channel on how to take that part apart. But that's out of the way. We're good there. What I did leave was the wiring for the steering column. I just tucked that out of the way because we just need to save these connectors here, so we'll be good there. And then I've got wiring for my O2 sensor gauge that I've got tucked into the glove box here. So I just left that in place. I'm gonna have to rehook up the power for and stuff like that, so I'll have to figure that out. But the lead that goes out to where it plugs into the exhaust, that's all that stuff needs to kind of stay there. And these last little wires, these are just the speaker wires for the speakers up here in the dash that I'm not going to need those, so I got to figure out if I can just take those out or something like that. But anyways, yay. So now we got everything out. It's time to start laying out the new wire harness and see what I need to keep and what I need to get rid of. I'll do a quick update here. So I've got the main harness in, I've got it screwed into the wall over there. In the instructions, it says that there's an existing hole and that you drill another hole next to it. And on my car, actually, those two holes weren't there. The one hole wasn't there. You'll see, in the instructions what to do. And it's pretty simple, but I just had to drill an extra hole, which wasn't a problem. And then started to route the harness around and down over here. And then I tucked all the stuff up over there that goes on that side. It's pretty slick because it comes with two new door sensors, and mine was broken on one side. The little thing just came right off. So I'm really fortunate that these were included in the kit, so I like that. So those are wired up, and then I've got the hazard relays and stuff. They're tucked underneath, way up inside there. And then starting to get the wire harnesses separated for the various, let's see, these go out front. This is like, well, one of these is, like the main power to the fuse block, but you've got like your choke wire and oil sending unit and that kind of stuff is on that setup there. So that's going to go out the middle of the firewall for my setup, because how I'm going to wire this, because those wires just go right up to the middle, the back of the engine and along the engine. I'm going to come out right the back of the firewall, or the middle of the firewall section. And then I still need to do, this is the steering column. And so what you've got here is, what's slick about the instructions is they show you what color wire is on the steering column and which terminal, there's little letters on here, and which terminal it goes to, then it matches up with this. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think this is the GM style, the General Motors style connection. And the reason why I say that is because when I bought this, I did it steering column. It came with one of these kinds of connections. I had to de-pin everything and redo, use the existing connectors that was in my car. Not a problem, but wiring it this way, I guess if you ever were to replace your steering column with maybe something like an I did it or whatever, with the tilt column, you should be able to just plug it right in. So anyway, so I gotta get that done. And then up here, I've got the last little bit of the wire harness. This goes to the dash. This is gonna be a little bit of work. I'm gonna say this toward the end. What's really cool is in the instructions, they outline if you have an aftermarket dash, like I have, with like a different speedometer and tachometer and oil gauge, all that kind of stuff. And what's really slick is they kind of outline, like this is the back of the instrument cluster, and all the wires that connect to what and where they go to on those three. I've got these three harnesses right here, and I'm going to utilize this. This is fantastic. I already know what wires I need, but everything's all color coded. It's all ready to go, and it tells you, okay, this is the one you're going to use for this, use this one for that. And so I really like that part. That's pretty slick. If you had a stock cluster, then obviously they'll show you just how to plug it right in, and you're good to go there. But this is what I have, so that's perfect for me. Let's see, anything else in here that was important? Yeah, see, here's from I have a 66, right? So they tell you, so here's the Ford wire colors that are on my steering column right now, and then the colors and the letters and stuff, and they match up on the thing here. Yeah, it's pretty slick. I really like that. So I'm pretty much, I think I'd say about 25% of the way done with the wire harness. The reason I say that is because I still have the rear harness. Like what I've got down here is this is ready to go for the rear harness. So I'm going to run the rear harness, to the back, and I'll come in right here and I'll connect these two there. And then I've got and this harness here that goes up to the front, that just for the headlights and the blinkers and stuff like that. So that'll go out this corner, and I'm gonna go out the side and run it in the fender, so you won't see the wiring in the engine bay. You'll just see the one wire harness that's got the one for the oil sending unit and temperature sending unit, that kind of stuff. So cool. All right, well let's keep going. I forgot to mention, when you're taking out your factory wire harness, the existing one, you can unplug these light assembly, the plug on the side here. You can take that out, and you're good to go, and you can leave this system in the car. It includes a new switch, but I think you can use your old one. But with the wiper switch, it doesn't include the harness right here. It doesn't include that. It doesn't include the switch or anything. If you use a 5/64 Allen head, you can take, there's a little set screw in the bottom. You can pull this off, and then this little ring inside here, kind of hard, below this wiper thing, it unscrews. Then you can pull this switch out from the back. You'll want to save the harness, and this black taped one here, and it goes all the way over to your wiper motor. Just save that and set it aside, because you're going to reuse that. This wire kit doesn't include that harness or anything, so just a heads up on that. All right, how about another update? So I got the rear end of the car done, got the new harness in place, and then got this stuff, the wire that runs along here in the back goes underneath these tabs and stuff. Got that all wrapped up. And then same thing on this side. Got this other side all wired in. Heads up on the reverse lights. They don't have a connector for this at all. So when you cut your harness out, I just cut the wires but left plenty of lead on there so that I could attach those to the wire that comes in on the harness that goes to the back. So just a heads up on that. And then I also reused my oil or my gas tank sending unit plug. The one they give you is the ring terminal where you have to put a nut on the end of the stud up here. And I don't really like that. I like the one where it just pushes on there. So I just cut that off the wire harness and just spliced it into the new wire harness and just kept that old style plug because I like that better. The interior is all but done. All I have left to do is just the dash wiring harness, and that's going to be utilizing these plugs here. I'm going to have to redo the wire harness on the whole instrument cluster on the back side, and it'll just plug right into this and I'll be good to go. But I'm going to say that for the end. And in the engine bay, this is the wires that are going to go to the oil sending unit, the temperature sending unit, so that kind of stuff. I'm going to wait till the engine's in so that I can cut those to length and do all that. So that'll just leave like that till I'm done. This is where, the stock starter solenoid is here, and I moved it here in a previous video, but this wire harness comes with this new fuse block kit kind of thing here. There's these big, huge fuses, so there, it's hard to see that, so let's get that a little bit better. So I got all that all wired up and good to go, and all the wires tucked in, and they run out the side of the fender, and they go in the wheel well into the cab, and then they go across underneath the dash. So I didn't want any wires, except for these ones running in the engine bay. And this is just the wire that goes on the alternator. When we get the engine put in, I'll be able to hook that up. So just for now, just stick it out of the way. And then on this side, I've got my wiring for my electric fans. I've got that on a separate circuit. So I got to finish wiring that up. I had it wired up originally, but I'm going to change this setup a little bit and kind of reduce some of the wiring and stuff. So I'm going to wait till the radiator is in place so I know the length of the wire. So I'll say that for also when the engine gets in. And then the last part in the front of the car is just the headlight harness. So, you got a new plug for the headlights. So then you got to jump it, from one side to the other side. And that's just the last part of the front of the car that I got to do. In fact, what I've been doing is, using their instructions, I've been laying out the connector pieces that go in the spots that they go in. Same thing like right here. And then these are for the horns. I'm not going to do that. This is for if you have the pressure brake sending unit, and my switch is on the pedal, so I don't need to use this wire here. And then that piece is overhanging on the car, this little thing right here. But anyways, and then because of these little connectors, there's actually subtle differences in the sizes, and thankfully that, it's not obvious by the size, but the count is different. So I just kind of line them up with the letters over here, and then I can come over and go, okay, so right here we need 2 Fs. So I come over and I'll grab 2 of these guys, and I'll just stick them right here, and then I'll just kind of build one circuit at a time. Actually, I'd start on this end because these wires have to jump over to here. So I'll start on this end and I'll put that together, then I'll put that together and then hook up the wires and run it across the engine bay. I'm going to put it underneath the lip here on this core support, kind of like it was before. I'll have the same thing with my electric fan power wire going through there. So I'll just have all that set up so it'll be just tucked up and nice and neat and clean so you won't see it. But yeah, so that's just something that I've been doing with this instructions because it's nice and big and you can kind of see where everything is, and it's not quite one-to-one size for the drawing, but it does make it easy when you're trying to organize the pieces that go where, and you can just follow along from piece to piece to piece and keeps you staying organized and not messing this stuff up. Okay, so I got the dash done, the instrument cluster. It was nice because most of the wires I had were already broken up into the 2 groups. I had 2 wire harnesses before, these kind of style that I hooked everything to, and so was able to just kind of tap into what I already had and try to clean it up a little bit. It's not perfect, but this will work. And so I just have 2 plugs that we will plug into the dash harness. There's a 3rd plug that's included here, and this one here is for the VSS. If you have like a transmission, like a manual transmission that's got a vehicle speed sensor or whatever it's called, this allows you to utilize that without having to convert it into a mechanical signal like I had here. I had a T5 on my previous Mustang, and I had this kind of speedometer, but I had a digital, that, I don't forget what it's called, but that digital Hall effect or whatever it is on the T5, because it was a later T5. So I had to buy a conversion kit that converted the electrical signal back into a mechanical signal so I can have the speedometer cable plug into the thing. You can buy speedometers that read that kind of stuff, but I didn't have that at the time. So anyways, but if you guys have that transmission or something like that, this is slick because you can just plug this in and you don't have to get an extra setup to hook that up. But I don't need it for what I have, so that's great that it includes it in the kit though. So this is ready to go back in the dash. I did want to point out, I was doing the wiring harness for the headlights, and I decided to use the the plugs that were in here, the kind that came on in the kit. Let's see, where did I do with those? This style, I'm afraid that it's too deep, and when you put the headlight in, there's not a lot of room between this back wall and where the headlight sits, so the wires come out the back versus this one, it kind of, you can see that it comes out the side. So I went ahead and just spliced that in, and also the turn signals that go down here, I chose to use the connectors that are already there and just splice that into the thing instead of using the connectors that came with the kit. But for you guys, you can do whatever you want, but I think this was easier to do it this way. So, and then of course, same thing on the other side, it's all ready to go. So I got to finish putting those lights in, but I can do that later. Man, look at this mess. So this is all of the old wiring harness from the front, and then this is the wiring harness from inside the car and some of the wiring that I had in there, and then you can see some back there from from the back of the car. So this is the remnants of using that, pulling that little harness out. In fact, if you can almost just kind of cut up the harness and just pull it out. You're not going to need anything but a handful of the ends. Like I was saying, you can reuse these ends, but just leave yourself enough of a lead on there that you can splice stuff in. And you know, I guess if there's any wiring you wanted to keep out of this stuff, that you could use it for something else. But I've hacked up enough of this harness from the time I got the car and what the previous owner had done, and then cutting everything out, that there's not much to salvage here. Or maybe save a couple of the good wires if you need yourself some good wiring for something later on, but it's pretty much just garbage. So guys, that's gonna wrap up the wiring job. I've got, again, the rear is done, the dash is done, I got the instrument cluster, that all wired up, put it back in the car. Everything underneath the dash is all wired in. The starter solenoid and that whole fuse block thing that comes with the kit, that's all done. Again, the headlights, I got to finish assembling the headlight buckets, I bought new hardware for that, so I got to install all that stuff so I can do that. And then the blinkers are going here. I got to just wire, just plug them in basically. So what I have left is I still need to do this. I've got a separate circuit for my electric fans. They're pretty hungry, power hungry, pretty amperage hungry. And so I've got a little bit different setup that I didn't, what's really slick is this American Autowire kit set comes with a lead for you to power your electric fans. Most electric fans aren't too bad, but the one I have is pretty thirsty. So I've got a separate setup for that. So, and then again, the wiring for, again, the oil sending unit, temperature sending unit, that kind of stuff, the electric choke, all that kind of stuff is, I'm just gonna terminate all those to the right length once the engine's in place so it looks all nice. So I'm gonna save that for the end. But other than that, she's done. So what do I think of the American Autowire? It's pricey. You know, you're touching $1,000 to get one of these kits. There's a lot of other kits out there. Just got done watching another guy's video, Rookie Pilot. You guys probably seen his channel. He did, or he's doing, actually, while I was doing this, he just released a video that he did, it was like $177 or something like that for this wire kit that he got from, was it Summit Racing, I think? I forget. Or no, Speedway, I think is where he got it from. Anyways, a similar kit, a lot of similar wiring. The words are written on the wires that come in the kit, so that makes it pretty simple in that kit. And there's there's a lot of similarities between that kit and this one. So is it worth 5 times less? You know, that's kind of tough. There's a lot of stuff. The instructions on this are very comprehensive, not overly done, they're not complicated at all. And they tell you if things are not used or you probably don't have this in your car, so don't worry about it. And then you can de-pin some of the wires out of these connectors and stuff like that if you don't need this stuff. You know, for example, like on the dash here, I didn't need to use this whole wire harness on here. And there's a couple wires I don't need because I don't have that set up on my dash. So you just take them out of the connector, just simplify the connector, which is great. You could do that on other wire harnesses, or other kits and stuff. And then there's There's a lot of extra parts. They give you quite a bit, a lot of connectors and things and stuff that I don't need anymore. I'm gonna hold on to this stuff. What's great is if I add things down the road, for example, this thing's set up to allow you, if you have electric fuel pump or something like that, it's all wired and ready to go, so I can utilize those circuits down the road if I want to do power locks or power windows or something like that. I do like that stuff's already there, so I'm going to save this stuff because I may need to dip into this box down the road and get some other stuff out to do things. But I'm happy with it. Did I need to rewire my car? No, I didn't need to. The wire harness in here, everything was working. I mean, the car was running fine before I took it all apart to get done for paint. But there was a lot of spliced wires and a lot of new wires added in, and I had hacked up the harness a little bit for some things that I was doing. I just wanted to clean up the whole system. I like the fuse panel better on this, you know, those blade fuses or H fuses or whatever you call those things. I like that better than those round cylindrical ones. Plus, what is there, like 6 or 7 fuses in the whole system before? A lot of things were relying on just, you know, one circuit to feed 8 different things or something. In fact, I had a problem when I got this car, the battery draw, the battery was going down, and I traced it to somewhere between my hazards and my cigarette lighter were on the same circuit, and one of those two, something in that circuit was not working. I could not find where something was grounding out or whatever, so I just took the fuse out of that. Well, the downside is because I couldn't figure out which one it was. I couldn't use my hazards, and I don't need the cigarette lighter, but I couldn't use that I couldn't even use it as a power source for something, like to charge my phone or whatever, because that's on one circuit. Now it's on separate circuits, and so I do like that kind of stuff. If I do have a problem, I can isolate stuff by pulling a fuse to that particular circuit, whereas the old way, a lot of things are run off of off of one circuit. So, in fact, speaking of that, that's another thing about wiring your car. Obviously, with the engine out and everything, I got the interior out. It's so much easier to do this stuff, right? This is the best time to wire the car. However, I can't check my work, right? I've got a bunch of stuff to put back in the interior. I got the whole engine to put in place. You know, this thing is not a complicated wiring harness. This is pretty easy to do. They're even gives you some flexibility to be creative and where you want to run your wires and stuff. So I do like that, but I'm crossing my fingers that everything is in the right place, that everything's connected right. I didn't miss a wire somewhere. You know, you follow the instructions, you just go page by page. It can seem overwhelming. You know, I got a little over a week into this kit, into doing this. Probably close to 20 hours. With all of the work I've done now, some of that time's me standing there just kind of looking at it going, how am I going to do that? What do I want to do with that? Do I want to route it? That kind of stuff. I got that extra circuit, for the electric fans. I was trying to do a special setup for that and have a special fuse or a special relay setup for that, and just so it's isolated from everything else because it's a pretty power hungry system. So there's some time, into that, and then trying to figure out, like with these headlight plugs, I stand there thinking about, do I want to do that? Well, if I do that, I'm deviating from the directions a little bit, but I can figure it out. And so there was some time of just kind of standing around thinking. I remember kind of at the beginning of this, just laying in bed, just thinking, I am going to be buried. There's so much work to do. And there is, but there isn't. And 20 hours is a lot of time for me. It may take somebody else longer. It may take a guy half that time. There's quite a bit of work, but it's not too much work. And just go page by page or section by section, the whole rear of the car. Once I got that wire harness ran, I just said, okay, I'm just going to work on this and go through the instructions and just do each circuit back there or each light and just get it done. And that's done. I can just cross that off. And then I did like this headlight, this whole front wiring system. Just did that. Just break them up into sections, and you'll be able to get through it. And just what they say, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. Just don't get overwhelmed with this. This is something that pretty much anybody can do. Tools. So these American Autowire crimpers, they were fantastic for the times that I needed it. Like I said, I've got some other crimpers that, like I said, I was saying earlier, that these MSD units that I can put different jaws in there. I might have been able to find, the right size or gauge or whatever it is for the American Autowire Wirings to put in there. I did have this one. This one would have done a lot of the wiring that I had, but there was just a handful of times but these American Autowire ones were just what I needed, and they're expensive and it's hard to justify, but if you don't have other tools, these things did come in handy, and I'm glad I bought them. You know, it does add to the price, right, of your kit, but now I have them if I ever need them for anything else. And plus, if I add anything else from this wire harness kit to the car, I'll have those crimpers for that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so guys, I wish there was more to show. I still have a lot to do on the car still to get this thing back up and running on the road. Fingers are crossed that I did it right. This was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got it done, and I'm happy with how things turned out. So just cross my fingers that everything works. All right, guys, so that's it. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, and if you subscribe, I appreciate it because it helps my channel out, and we'll see you in the next one.